Hi, welcome to Body Confidence TV. My name is Astrid Longhurst and I'm the founder and director of the Institute for Body Confidence Coaching. And I am so excited to have with me today my lovely guest, Rosie McGrath. And one of the things that I was so passionate about talking to Rosie was because she's got the most amazing journey that she's been on. And I think like all of us who've ever struggled with body confidence or body image issues or food related issues in any way, I think, you know, what's so inspiring for me is when you see somebody who has gone on their own journey and that they've come through and that they've learned so much about themselves. And for me, this is what Body Confidence TV is all about. It's about sharing our stories, and it's about giving that inspiration, those tips, so that, you know, when you watch something and you suddenly feel, gosh, you know, if she can do it, then I can do it. And for me, that's what's so passionate. And I just would love to share with you a little bit more about Rosie. And I'm just going to read a little bit here about what Rosie actually said when I was asking her about coming on and doing this interview with me. And this is what Rosie wrote. So settle in and have a listen. So Rosie, she's actually a plant-based chef and she trained at the Plant-Based Academy. But she's also a certified body confidence and wellbeing coach. And she went through the Institute's program for body confidence coaching. So it was lovely because we had that real shared journey as well. And so I was so delighted. But Rosie puts here, after years of careless eating, Rosie was forced to learn more about healthy eating so that she could heal her health issues naturally, as traditional medical approaches were only treating her symptoms and not addressing the core underlying problems. Rosie strongly believes that the body, I love this, that the body wants to heal itself. Yes. And when supported with conscious, mindful eating and through a holistic approach to self-care to nourish the mind, body and spirit harmoniously together. So I don't know about you, but I was thoroughly excited by this because you know, it so echoes my own journey because I really struggled with food. I really struggled with learning to love myself. And it took me an awful long time to really get it. And so my hope is that it doesn't take you as long as it took me. So I'm just so... I'm so thrilled to be talking to Rosie today, and you can find out a little bit more about her. So Rosie, look, enough of all of that. Over to you. You said about your own health journey and like your own issues. Can you tell us a little bit more about your own story?
I was actually only just talking about this with my mom today. She was asking me, how long have you been home in Kerry? And this is my 6th year home. And I, you know, had to think back and say, you know, why was it that I moved home? And, you know, really, I had to move home. I was in Dublin. I was living, you know, what appeared like a very fun life, you know, but unfortunately, truly, it was a destructive life. You know, I was indulging in a lot of chaotic habits and, you know, really not looking after myself at all, which was the norm for everybody around me in my environment and, you know, my friends.
Really?
Yeah, like we'd be going out, we'd be partying, we'd be working crazy hours and then, you know, eating all the wrong foods and just really depleting all energy, you know, on things that were really not fulfilling me in any way. They were just distracting me and just opportunities for me to just numb myself. You know, that's what I know now, but at the time I didn't have that awareness at all. At the time I was just doing what I thought I needed to be doing, and you know, I was so desperately trying to connect with people, but unfortunately in the wrong context, you know, and you know, I just had to learn, you know, by listening to my body was roaring out to me, you know, as time progressed and time moved on, things were getting worse. You know, my ailments, you know, showed up as digestive issues, which were just so debilitating. And at the time, you know, I just saw them as being so ugly, you know.
Like what do you mean sort of like ugly?
Well, so I was, you know, living a very glam life, you know, I was out all the time, and then here I am with digestive health issues, which just, you know, at the time I didn't want to share with anybody. This was
So you didn't tell anybody?
Oh no, I kept it all a secret. This was hugely embarrassing, that, you know, I was having to run to the toilet and, you know, that I was having reactions to foods that everyone else could eat just fine. And, you know, it just really scared me until the point then I just stopped eating the foods, but not altogether, obviously, but I became very erratic about my food. And that's when the kind of twisted, very unhealthy relationship with food started. Never to the point that, I suppose, that it was like calorie counting or anything like that. It was just out of fear. I was so petrified that if I ate something, then on my bus journey to work, which could be an hour, that I would, have a feeling of urge or anything like that. It was just so, it was just a huge knock to my confidence. And I didn't realize, I had no connection that what I was putting into my body was having this effect. I mean, I was understanding that I was reacting to foods, but I had no understanding that there were healing foods and there was not so healthy foods, that were destroying my body, destroying my insides, But I think, ultimately my body was just crying out for me to listen to it.
Yes.
My heart was crying out for me to listen to it.
Yes.
But that was far too advanced and conscious for that stage.
And you probably didn't even want to know that.
No, if somebody had said to me, this is really a gift. And you're going to learn something wondrous through all this, and one day you're actually going to be, working with other people. That I would have just.
You'd have just
no. I went to my doctor. I wanted to know, hey, what do I take? Give it to me now. I want this to be gone, and I want to get back to my fun life and
carry on the behaviour that you've always carried on.
Because I thought I was deluded. I thought I was having the best time ever, and I really wasn't. Now that I look back, and I have the things that really fulfill me, But that's the journey, that's the process, So things got so bad that I had to move home, It just was getting to a point that I was so isolated in my apartment, not really wanting to join in and friends going out and that kind of thing. And I just was, I suppose I did start the learning process up there. I was watching YouTube videos on gut health, and I was, really getting triggered, I was curious, the antennae were really up and wanted to learn more about my body, so that definitely was ignited in Dublin. But then, I needed a sanctuary, I needed a foundation, I needed support, I needed my family, I needed a job where I could have a bit more flexibility and freedom so that I could take the time. Because healing takes time.
It does
take
time.
attention. It takes energy.
It does.
And, I just couldn't do that in Dublin. The resources weren't there. So when I came home, I had those things here so that I could really give myself the time and attention that I needed. But again, there was still a lot of resistance. It was still, going into the doctor, getting the colonoscopy. And unfortunately, unless you have something really serious wrong with you, when you get a colonoscopy, they won't tell you if you've inflammation. They won't tell me if you've a gut flora imbalance or anything like that. It's just, you don't have cancer, so you're fine.
Right.
Or you might have IBS, which, I had heard of IBS, but for me, this was just a dustbin diagnosis. It kind of led me to nowhere. There was no real protocol to follow. There was no real help. It was just kind of no man's land, and this was so incredibly frustrating. But again, the fuel that I needed to be proactive in finding out the answers for myself. So then this led me down an amazing, challenging, frustrating journey, but it was amazing because it just stripped me of all of my ego, and I met other people, who were in similar situations, and it was a real get over yourself, but love yourself, get over yourself in the sense of my ego just being like, oh my God, this is so bad. This is, victim story,
Right. Did you feel like very much like, poor me? Why me? Why am I going through this?
And my parents really got the brunt of that because I was living at home again, and I just resorted to being 17 again. Just, angry, irritated, incredibly frustrated. Like, why wasn't my body working? Why wasn't it doing? But it was. It was. It was trying to tell me, hey, stop what you're doing. Your body needs something new. You need to change. You need to grow. But that took time. But it was an amazing journey, and it led me to so many parts of myself that I had to face, and letting go of kind of habits that really weren't helping me at all. But also this idea about myself, of being cool or being, all these ideas that I had about myself that really weren't serving me. This gave me the opportunity to access a part of me that is, it's just so much more genuine, and I have such deep compassion for people because I have been through the motions myself, and I can really empathize with people who are suffering and struggling, and that's what led me to really wanting to learn about healing food so I can help other people, because I just know that when I went to the doctor with my IBS symptoms, there was just no help, and I just want to be able to help people because food is just amazing, and I never had an understanding or appreciation of food on the level I do now. It was always just maybe to indulge or treat yourself, or naughty food, bold food, but healthy food,
or how many calories or how many points food gets relegated to that, but not about how it makes you feel.
No.
And how it makes you heal.
Yes, and how it makes you heal.
I mean, that's huge.
Like, food can heal you. I know that I'm living proof of that I healed my own gut, my own body, my own mind, and I gave myself the gift of having a new passion through food. I mean, it's just incredible, and I just would love for people to understand that and experience that,
And it's interesting because you talk about resistance and how you resisted it, and I think this is really interesting because for me, certainly in my own journey, I resisted and resisted and resisted change. I knew intellectually what I needed to do. I knew it because I was suffering. And I think rather like yourself, I think when you go through your body issues and you're in pain, it forces us to look. It forces us to make some sort of change.
Yes.
But the resistance part of this is very, very interesting because, I suppose I'm interested in how you got over your own resistance. How did you make that leap from actually going, I'm numbing out, I don't want to face this, I don't want to look at it, I want to carry on in my old ways because that's what I know. And actually, I think this is what so many people really struggle with. It's the, how do you do it? What was there any one thing that stood out for you, or was it any one day? Was there a turning point? Did it happen over a period of time? I mean, as a coach and as a teacher, I find that's what people, it's all very well knowing it, but it's how do you do it? I mean, how did you get past the resistance part?
I think, you see, the resistance is seen as well as sometimes as negative, but the resistance was actually a very important part for me because it allowed me to play out some inner child victim story that just needed to be played out. And see, this is the thing, we're like, oh, we're resisting, and but that was really important for me to play out that part of myself that wanted to be pitying about myself and wanted to be sad about myself, but eventually that wears out. You can't live that forever.
No.
Maybe some people can, but I think for the most part people get sick of their own
we get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's it. Exactly. And I got sick of my own resistance, and I just got tired of fighting against it. And I said, I have to, accept, surrender. This is happening. What am I going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
So the first step was taking some time and space with yourself, Astrid.
I know, because we did coaching sessions together, and I think for me it was just a joy working with you. But I think, what do you feel that you got most out of the coaching sessions for you? What was the I know you've spoken about your earlier about the ugliness you felt and about your stomach
and you see, it's so important because when we're looking at issues, we want to deal with them in a very practical way. So I wanted to deal with all the food and my stomach and taking this supplement and that supplement, but I was doing nothing for my mental dialogue or my mental narrative around food, around my body, or what was happening to me. It was all very negative, and I had so much anxiety around myself and food and how my body functioned, and I just felt so vulnerable, and I felt so ugly, and I felt like there was something wrong with me. Everyone else was fine and I wasn't. So I knew there was something up, and I knew I was experiencing a lot of anxiety. So that's what gave me the step to take the time to meet you. And I remember, we did an amazing process, and it was just, honestly, when you ask of a specific moment, in my journey, was when I shifted from something, my body working against me. You asked my stomach. It was amazing. It sounds kind of funny, but it was just so empowering. You asked my stomach, you gave it a character. We gave it a character.
We gave it a character.
You asked me, and I don't know, I came up with something, and it was quite funny. And then you asked it, did it have a message? And it was trying to tell me that it wanted me to make better choices so that I could digest life better. And
to digest life better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just that, to digest life.
Yeah, that was it. It just came out through me, and that wisdom would never have come out if I had not given myself the time. And that was the whole thing. My stomach, my body, my digestive system was trying to get me to stop what I was doing, be in my body, accept my body, and listen to it, and listen that it wasn't hurting me. It wasn't trying to do anything. It wasn't a failure. There was nothing wrong with it. There's actually something incredibly right with it. For once, it's trying to communicate to me some amazing wisdom, and it was just a game changer. I just felt from weak to strong. I felt empowered. I felt liberated. I was like, oh my God, this is a total switch on something being negative to there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity for you to transform this into something that's going to empower you and potentially give you something to share with the world. So I remember leaving that session and just being so elated and relieved. It was relief that my body's actually working with me.
I remember that session so well, and it was emotional, it was powerful, and it was, as you said, it was a game changer. Because instead of ignoring your body, instead of seeing it as something that shouldn't be happening and resenting it and feeling really angry about it, and why is it stopping me from doing all the things I want? But that whole switch that you had when you allowed your body, your stomach, to actually say what it wanted to say. And I know sometimes this might sound really weird for people. It's like that sense of, well, what are you talking about? How do you tap into that? But actually, we have to tap into the wisdom of our bodies. And when we give ourselves a space, certainly in a coaching session, it's a marvelous place to do it, because you can explore without judgment or criticism, and you can stay open in your mind. But when that session happened, I think we were both emotional.
Yeah.
And
because the relief was just so immense, and also just to be navigated, so even in that relief, in that moment, and to be so emotional, to still be held and directed in a way that was going to have an outcome and something for me to take away and work on and then come back. And it was just such an amazing process. It was such an amazing gift. I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to allow myself experience that. And I had such, I suppose, misunderstanding of therapy before, or coaching. I had such a misunderstanding because I thought it would be something very traumatic and very delving deep, and it wasn't. It was just an opportunity for me to listen to myself.
The emotions, it's still emotional. It is emotional.
The ultimate gesture to yourself of self-love and self-care is just to give yourself time and space to listen to what your body and your soul is trying to tell you. Because look what I've gained from it. From that very moment, I have gained the fuel, because that gave me hope. It gave me drive to be even more proactive. I did an amazing plant-based culinary experience, in Dublin, training. And now I'm able to share my creativity and all of my interest through food and plant-based food and healing the body and healing the gut and all those things. And it's just amazing.
What would you say to somebody who is going through very similar issues that you went through? What would you say to them? What would be your, say, if you had maybe your number one thing to help somebody actually start their journey that really helped you, what would it be? What might it be?
I think, I understand that it's a scary situation and you might feel threatened. But if there's something I could encourage you to do, is to just take the step forward with a family member or with somebody who has something the same as you. I remember when I spoke with other people who had IBS, that was a huge relief to me that I'm not alone. But listen to that inner voice. There's something in there. Your soul is trying to communicate to you. Your body is trying to tell you something. And it's not all gloomy. There is hope. There is opportunity for you to get to know yourself even deeper. And that's why the universe gives us these things, gives us these opportunities, is for us to delve deeper into who we are. so that we can really live authentically and be who we truly are. Because if I was still that person who I was in Dublin, I think I'd be a very boring individual, and I'd be a very selfish individual. And I just feel very grateful now for taking the step forward and giving myself the permission to express myself and express my body's needs. So my key core message would be to just give yourself the permission to explore with somebody what your body needs.
It's so beautiful, Rosie. And I think, for me, this is what it's all about. It is about this sharing and this empowerment. Beautiful tip that you gave. And that real connection. It's, reach out, because so many people don't reach out either. And I know in the beginning, like with my own health journey, I would have tried to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
And it's a very lonely and a very hard place. Because, having somebody to, as you said earlier, to help navigate you through it, you still have to do all of the changes and the work that's involved. But I think there's nothing like having somebody who is walking alongside of you in your journey, and helping and questioning and being
a bit of
there.
hand-holding. Everyone
Absolutely.
needs a bit of hand-holding through these things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all innocent throughout these experiences, and the greatest gift was just support, feeling supported. And someone being curious about your journey and how's this going, and checking in with you, and just it gives you the little bit of momentum you need to just keep going. And with every week and every month, you just you see, okay, the dots are joining, there's a process happening here, I'm growing, I'm transforming, and you look back and you say, okay, that was meant to be, because it is all meant to be.
I was going to say, do you believe that everything that we go through in terms of struggle, or all sort of life struggles, but certainly with regards to the body, do you believe that it's actually there for a reason? It is to help us grow and expand and become more of the women and men that we are destined to be, that we were always born to be? Is that your belief?
Absolutely. I know that I'm on the right path now.
Wow.
I know my body manifested something for me to have to explore, so that I would access all of these wonderful things that I'm now experiencing, be it plant-based cooking, be it meditation, be it conscious eating, be it jewelry and crystals and card readings and yoga and all of these amazing things, body confidence. It just seems now that I've touched on it, it's just constantly evolving, and life is just far much more exciting, and I'm connecting with people on a far deeper level because I'm connected to myself on a far deeper level. You can only connect with people on the level that you're connected to yourself, and I'm just glad I've had the opportunity to get to know Rosie a bit more. So,
well, I am very grateful for the chance to have got to know you and to work with you. And I just want to say to you, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us, because, I think when, like I was saying at the beginning, when we hear somebody else's story, when we see that authenticity and that realness, and that we get inspired because we can say, you know what? Well, I can do that too.
Yeah,
I can do it too. And I know that, it's not always the easiest journey, but I think it's a lot harder to stay stuck where we are. I don't know about you, but I think it's a lot harder. People say, but it's hard to change. It's hard to make those changes.
It just takes one little
But
step.
yeah, it's one baby step. I always say in my coaching, it's one baby step at a time. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
And Astrid, I just want to say, because, obviously doing the body confidence training course was just the ultimate highlight, and just it allowed me to really embody and process everything that I had gone through the activities and the tasks and the lectures and the modules. It just gave me an even deeper understanding of my body and its message and my future, and it was just a brilliant opportunity for me to really encompass all the different experiences along the way, because as your process happens, it kind of goes into the background, and it's not that you want to relive it, but you want to understand it with your new wisdom now that you have. Yes. So now it's more conscious, you have it pieced together in a way that it's more useful for people, and you can just reframe it in a way that it's you understand the whole experience better. So I just the body confidence course was just amazing for that, and allowing me, so anybody who's going through a process with their body, or you know how it's changing, this is an amazing course for you to even just understand that much.
Oh,
you
thank
know
you.
So it was just a really the cherry on top, with me
The
kind
cherry on top.
but just with me, not closing that chapter, but I suppose closing any negative associations I have with that chapter of my life.
Yes.
That allowed me to just really, see it with a lot more light.
I am so delighted, and it has been a pleasure to just be alongside you in your journey.
Me too.
And I just want to thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story with us.
I hope it was helpful.
And I hope that you have been inspired by this, and please reach out. Please don't suffer in silence. There are so many tools and things that you can do that really help and that really change. Don't wait another minute to listen to your body and to love it. And Rosie, one last time, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh.
Thank you so much for watching Body Confidence TV, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye now.